Okay. All right. So it's Sylvia and Rami, do I have your permission to record today's Zoom?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have to ask by Florida law.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, so just preamble to everything I sent to you.
Yeah.
Uh I spent a little bit more time. Well, last week I did have a couple of things that came up that just literally took me out completely, but I didn't want to just flippantly give you feedback. I wanted to be very thoughtful in that. But um, you know what? I think I pretty much made a lot of different points, but I know that I had a little bit of an overview via email, and then I gave you two different things. So I hope that that didn't confuse you. But
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
let's go for it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, I read through all from the Excel sheet. Um and I see that there's breakdowns here already starting. And then I read through your email. So everything's pretty clear. I want to talk out a few things. First of all, just the things that I'm totally good with. Sorry, my dog is yapping. Um, a few things that I feel like are easy changes. So for example, grandma being sick, I think, it's definitely a layer. I think we talked about this too before the notes. It's definitely a layer that we can integrate in the story, whether that be off the top when she first gets there, or something as that's more under wraps that she reveals over time, or that Yoli
Well, I
discovered.
think because it becomes um the impetus for her to like make a decision to like drastically pack up and go. I think it needs to be established early on. Like that's why you're going. You just don't want to risk it because this is a grandma. You know, perhaps whatever happened between my dad and your dad and I happened, but she never lost you. You always mattered to her, Choli. Yoli, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's something that, well, one thing I'm concerned about is making things too easy for her, for Yoli. And then also I don't want her to have zero flaws, you know? And so I think that it could be interesting for the grandma too to have some layers. If she is sick, she acknowledges that she's sick. She tells the mom, I'm sick, and then she comes, but it's one of the, maybe it's an illness that's not like overtaking her right away.
Right.
Something that is behind the surface. And maybe the extent of how sick and dying, close to dying she is, maybe unravels throughout the season, because there's something, things that we can play with in terms of like where grandma starts and where grandma ends.
So let me tell you where I have and these are good things because it just means like I was looking at the story today. I was talking about this with a friend who deeply pushed for us to consider the Choli story, the Cholita story. And I was talking to her and I said, what we're doing here, we're gonna serve the master of the quick churning storylines that these things require, but we want to kind of save some stuff for what we think is a real feature film idea and that I think would actually have support. Just people seeing that we're doing this would, I think, potentially trigger that. And she was telling me, yeah, there's probably a couple of things that you might want to save for a real script, like a more serious script where you're not trying to serve the master of the real of the Minivela format. Because I'll be
Yeah,
honest with you, I know you feel the same way. I don't want to have all these twists and turns that quickly, you know. But the nature of this, it does ask for some of that. So I know that we're kind of saying we're going to do it, but we're not going to go 200 miles per hour. We're going to go 100 miles per hour. But normally these twists and turns are, if you've looked at enough of these already, Sylvia, it's like within 30 seconds they love each other, they hate each other. They had
Yeah,
a baby with a third person. Like you're like, what? Huh? Huh? Like,
yeah,
and people love that crap. And I don't like it, but everybody does. So
yeah,
what I'm saying here with regard to the grandma is, we could consider, for example, that she's getting this diagnosis, but the diagnosis at the end becomes a happy ending because she doesn't have it. So therefore, like we can decide to end the story that way if we wanted to. I think I already put that in the notes, but like it's up to us what we want to do with grandma. But I think that the stakes need to be high so that there is that impetus that okay, she's just gonna have to take a time out in Bolivia and head over to the US and figure out, you know, more about this grandmother. By the way, one of the things that I don't think we established, I don't know if we addressed this at all. Was she born in Bolivia or was she born in the US but immediately went to Bolivia? We haven't established that. Well,
yeah. I guess that's a decision. Like that's, I think, something that we can talk about when we get to the subject of the dad. Um,
okay.
but I do want to. I think what I would like to do is really nail down the tone of what we're making, so that I think a lot of the decisions that we make in terms of the script will come from that. Because it's my understanding that we were going for comedy, something quick. Um, I think that comedy was the first thing that was told to me.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so and then we were coming up with different comps. I don't know if you got to take a look at on my block, but that was for yeah on my block. Um,
No, I
and
haven't seen
things
it yet.
are more campy. Like I thought
I haven't
that
seen
was
I haven't
okay.
seen
Um, it's like yeah, so it's something where it's a bit more like silly or a little bit of camp or a little bit of like self-aware.
I'll look at
Um,
I'll look at it ASAP. I'll look at it
okay,
ASAP. Just in that
yeah.
such an
So
important reference.
in terms of like keeping it comedy, I think some of the storylines and some of the layers in the plot would affect that,
Yeah.
if
So
that makes
so is it so the question is it campy or is it is it comedy or is it campy comedy? Because comedy,
or it could be like in those lines, but I just want to make sure we're making a comedy.
yes,
Okay. All
yes.
right.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm just using the grandmother as an excuse to her discover that other part of her, that in a very organic way that is pleasing to the story and why she's in LA, right?
Right.
Uh, because there's another avenue we could have picked for her to go to LA rather than go see her grandma. It's
Mhm.
to simply to go conquer LA with her fashion world ideas and that Bolivia is too small for her in a sense. But I think
Mhm.
it has more resonance to that she goes to LA to rediscover herself and the other side of herself that could be a chola, especially because we didn't know if we can find an actress who will be Bolivian.
Yeah.
However, we may have discovered a potential Yoli.
Oh, great. That's exciting. I'd love to check her
Yeah,
out.
you're gonna check her out.
Uh,
Yeah, we're gonna
yeah,
get
it'd
that
be
today.
great. Okay, cool. And then in terms of scope, because the task in terms of writing and in terms of you know, she's a fashionista, she sells clothing, and then she's also a wrestler. So those are like two really big and semi potentially production wise expensive avenues um to explore. And so in my head, if she's a wrestler, if she's a Cholita, and that's her passion, then there is going to be wrestling. Um, you know
Yes,
what I mean?
but I don't think we can have anybody jumping off of of off the rings and stuff like that. That could be.
Johnny did say he knew stunt people.
He did.
So
Okay,
yeah,
well,
he said he got
listen,
buddies.
I'm all for. Listen, I am personally in favor of it. Okay,
Okay.
I just don't want Johnny to give me pow pow and say, "Manny, are you crazy? You're doing like a
I mean,
WWF."
I mean, if we're gonna get a ring, I mean, she
Yeah,
doesn't
we
have to
got a
jump
ring.
off
No,
the
no, we have
rails,
a ring.
but
We definitely have a ring. I know he's got a ring. So I have no concern about that. I think the question is, so for example, when I don't know if you were part of a discussion that I had with Johnny regarding Cholita surfing, right? Which is a really big thing, by the way. And he said,
yeah,
no, 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 no. She's not gonna be surfing in the water. She's gonna be coming out of the water with the surfboard, having just experienced that. And he goes, we're going to use all the tricks to imply what happened, but without having her do anything dangerous or anything super crazy expensive. Because he's trying to, maintain the budget on that sense.
yeah,
So, for example, that's why in that first fight, I had her doing a certain um, move that has the person already. I had him as a guy, but you have as a girl. I had that person pretty much in the end stage of the fight, and right there, ding ding, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
over. And then in the later
Mhm.
part of what I had written, I had her training people and making moves, and that's different than actually experiencing bouncing from the freaking thing and going over there and jumping from the top. So that's where I was considering what Johnny was telling me in my ear, like, yo, be careful you don't uh
Yeah,
on that.
because I feel like, in terms of the scope, we want to make sure to keep it as contained as possible. So with the ideas that are integrated inside the script now, it's already a lot. It's skateboarding, it's fashion, there's a fashion show, and then there's a wrestling. There's wrestling at the end. So I feel like if we're going to lean more into wrestling and have more of those type of scenes, then we need to rein back on something else. And
Yeah,
actually, I'm cool with potentially getting rid of the skateboard things so that we can focus and make sure we get the other two parts of her identity right. Um, and it could be more so like maybe she's not doing so many tricks. I think I have like two tricks written in where
yeah.
she doesn't ollie. She doesn't ollie, but mostly she's
Are
just
you a
skating around.
skateboarder? By the way, are you a skateboarder?
I used to. I mean, I no, but I've been on a skateboard. But just so you know, like with actors, it's already so limiting. Why would we want to shoot ourselves in the foot? You know?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things that last week Rame and I had a call with, what is the name of it again, Rame? The girl.
Emilia Skate.
Say that again slower so we can understand.
Emilia Skate.
Okay,
Media skate.
so send her a link if you don't mind, Rame, in this. So Sylvia, let me tell you why the skateboarding thing has been there. So there's two reasons. One is the skateboarders are the ones that made the Cholitas this year really popular on social media. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a reference there that's been very well embraced by people, and it helps us essentially sell in the story better if they're exploring their city in a way that is lo-fi, but is also related to the Cholitas. Number two, this group that he's talking about, we met with, I think, five of the nine girls that are part of this. I say girls, but I think they're between 18 and 22. Anyways,
Correct.
they were part of a commercial for Samsung, a beautifully shot commercial by Samsung, by the way. And we spoke with them at length, and they were giving us, they were the ones offering us, like, they were so excited about the fact that the story is being made, by the way, independent of the skateboarding thing. And they said, listen, we want you to know that if you consider that there's a way of getting us to be there to skateboard on this film, we would do it. I go, And I said, whoa, you would do it? They go, yes, we can. We looked at our schedules, we can all make it happen. And here's the cool thing about it. They skateboard, dress up as cholitas, not because they're dressed like that every day. There are women that do dress like that every day. They choose to dress like that every day because they're part of a nonprofit organization that helps girls that are dealing with a lot of issues for being from that community that are, that are poor, to feel proud of their heritage and embrace their cholita-ness. So it's part of a social good that they dress
Yeah.
like this and that they skateboard in public events. And they've even been flown to the United States
Yeah.
for cultural exchange reasons. So they were here was it last year or this year?
Last year, I believe it was.
They were here last year in Washington, D.C., which apparently is the Cholita, not the Cholita, it's the US capital of Ecuadorians for some reason. And they came to LA and they loved LA. So they told us, we're so down for it. You just need to get us there and we would love to work with your director. So I'm just putting that out there, number one. Number two, related to that, I'm trying to actively, which would be beneficial for all of us, I'm trying to actively sell that to a campaign to see if we can get one of our sponsors to say, we're doing this whole thing. Forget about your concern about the budget or whatever. But I don't have much time to make that decision. We've got to, if we're going to have a sponsors for Cholita, we would probably need to know, I'm sorry, for the skateboarders, we probably need to know by Friday of next week.
Yeah.
If
Yeah. Okay.
budget really it's going to happen.
I mean, for me, it's not about Rami. Sometimes when Manny talks, there's a little bit of feedback coming from you. I just want to yeah, I
I
just
just
want to
left you
remind.
the link here, by the way, for the video.
I, thank you. Yeah, and I'm cool with leaving it in. You know, we can shoot it in a way where either we have double skating or we have it where we really focus on one, two tricks max or something.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
people coming in as as stunt doubles. I just want to make sure because I feel like some of the notes, which a lot of them I'm cool with making changes, but some of them I feel like are larger plot pieces that require space and time, and could be difficult to squeeze in when we need to get um,
Why
the
don't
fashion wrestling
Sylvia,
in.
why don't we go over the Excel version of this breakdown thing?
Yeah, we could do that.
Let me do that now. Hold on a second.
My dog is it's the mailman time.
What
Sorry.
kind of dog you have?
She's a little Chihuahua poodle mix.
Okay.
Yeah, the mailman is coming. Yeah,
Well,
let's go through. So
I've never
I'm
heard of a
here.
Chihuahua poodle mix.
Yeah, she's from Tijuana. um,
Of course.
yeah. Anyway,
So,
so we
Cholita, all right. So wait, can you guys see my screen?
oh
Yes.
All right. Did she
okay.
say, did she say yes or no?
Yes, I could see.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
So,
so we have
yes. So this is optional right here, Cholita's age. It looks like we have somebody. Fortunately, many Latinas look young, so that should not be a
yeah.
problem. And we have a great candidate to forward to you. So this is probably our best birth. I mean, our best birth. Our best for a Cholita from Bolivia is this gal. So we're excited to present that one to you. All right.
Awesome. The next one is the wrestling a gal.
So yeah, so what do you think about that? You want to keep it with a woman dynamic based on, because basically let me make this clear. Wrestlers, I'm not into wrestling anymore as I used to be, but every wrestler has that signature move, right? Which is like their superpower, like Superman and Batman. They all have like one thing that supposedly they vanquish everybody with that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was thinking that whatever that move is, and we could call it the whatever, it's the takedown move that she's going to actually potentially even attempt with this guy, with Mando at some point, right? But he's like whatever. She's like tiny compared to him. She can't put it on him, but she could put it in the real move later on at the end. That's just a
Yeah.
thought. but she can
Yeah,
exercise it here in this first part.
yeah, I like that to have a signature move that we bring back in the end. I like that. I think that she still needs to have some sort of ambition in Bolivia so that it's hard for her to leave. So I
Fashion,
do like the
fashion,
idea. Yeah,
her
her
fashion.
fashion.
Yeah, her passion. Yeah, because her, I think we should establish that for her, the wrestling is just it's an outlet. It's something she enjoys because she's proud of her heritage. It is part of being a Cholita, but her fashion is what she wants to champion. That's why she finds like, you know what, I can meet Abuela and I could find out if there's something I can do with my Cholita fashion love, because she should be really good at fashion.
Yeah, but yeah, she can do that anywhere.
She could do that
Right.
anywhere, but being in LA, a fashion center, a fashion capital, gives
Mhm.
her a heightened interest in the trip.
So there's no, so she's excited to be in LA.
She's not excited about it at first, but her mom maybe mentions to her that LA is one of the fashion capitals of the world, and she goes, "Oh," she goes,
Yeah.
"So that's another reason that she wants to go." So you can integrate that into the script as to when she's like, "Okay, well, abuela and fashion become two things that she wants to figure out." So that's why, and I do think that she should go to LA packed with a bunch of stuff, like coming to America style, in that sense.
Yeah.
So it shows that she's like not even aware that she's not going to a ritzy place. She forgets that her grandmother is just a humble woman, from the Boyle Heights. Uh, so that can be part of the tensions also that she faces there at first. Like, okay, I'm just gonna be I'm not gonna be weird around grandma. I'm gonna be a good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll let you figure that out, but that's sort of that thought there. But I think this Quechua thing could be good, by the way. It could
Yeah.
be
I
a
like
lady
that.
for Mando, or it could be Quechua for her grandmother. It does
Yeah, I think she would say great to great Quechua for an I love you scene with Mando. Yeah, we can add that in somewhere. It could be with her mom. Yeah, we can definitely integrate that easily. Okay.
okay,
So
so uh is the locker room established from what I've seen, wrestling is not okay, yeah. So I was just saying the wrestling, the videos that I've seen, women are liberally fighting men all the time.
yeah,
So
they also fight women too, right?
and yeah, so they both fight women and men, they all fight each. I
Yeah,
I thought it was weird that men were fighting women, but c'est la vie.
yeah,
So
it's fine. Yeah.
you're gonna keep it
Okay.
as her fighting the woman?
Well, I wanna understand why.
I like her beating a guy because it could build her a reason why she thinks she can pull that move on Mando if she does. But that
Yeah,
it could be like an older man, like like she's gonna kick his butt. But Mando's a different guy. He's a different dude.
yeah. I want to know what she's going like. Why are we seeing wrestling if she is a fashionista and wants to you know what I mean? I feel like there for me it's a balance to layer both of them into the story as both two things that she's passionate about. And so for me, it doesn't matter who she would wrestle if it's a guy or a girl. Then in that case, there is no scene in the locker room. Instead, if we want it to be more focused on fashion, then we're going to have her selling her clothes after the match and like making money and getting getting excited selling her pieces and then she gets home and mom is like you're going to LA and she's like what and then
Well,
the mom reminds her
I think
in the
she should.
fashion.
I think maybe one other way of doing that is she goes home and she's preparing for a fashion show that's coming up where she's going to put things to sell. And her grandmother says, "Hey, it's your grandmother, and there's an urgency." Like so that rather than because at these wrestling places where you've seen the videos, the people that are there are poor. They're not making acquisitions of fashion. But if she's going to a
Okay.
fashion show, that's where people buy these fashion. things. There's like a fashion show circuit where buyers, mass buyers go. So if that's what
Yeah.
she's getting ready to do, it would be more believable than if after her fight, she's there to sell fashion to regular people.
So for me, while writing, I wanted to ground the reason why we are seeing wrestling in this show. Yeah, it's a hobby, it's something that she does, but like, why is it important to tell the audience? Why is it important for us to open with it? You know, is it just something she does on the side? And if it's that, then I feel like it doesn't make it a strong plot point.
Later on, if you reveal that her grandfather was a great champion, it'll help her understand why she's always had this love for the Cholita part of wrestling, because wrestling is part of the Cholita um culture. It is one of
Mhm.
it not all of them are wrestlers in fashion and skateboarders and mountain hikers and surfers,
Yeah.
but all of them, I know. That would be too much, right? If she's like on all
Yeah, no, they're just so awesome. They're so cool.
it's very, I'll be honest with you, it's very peculiar to me because when I first started discovering them this year, because I think I had seen them, but I never understood them. But when I started reading, I was like, but wait a second, I don't understand what why are these women wrestling with these giant clothing items? Like they're not with bikinis or whatever, like in other countries, like in the US. No, they're wrestling with their full-on layers and layers of clothing. It doesn't make sense to me, but it's
Yeah, yeah,
part of the culture and it's like a prideful part of the culture. But I think if later on in the story, the backstory of the grandmother and her heartbreak and how she doesn't really have anybody else, uh, it shows that it helps her discover like, oh, that's where the wrestling came from, is abuelo, and he was a great.
mm,
Then it ties the whole thing about why she's not just one of the cholitas in fashion, but she also has this deep, you know,
yeah,
thing for the
yeah. And
exercise.
that's definitely a plot point that we can bring in the next draft. One thing I wanna balance is like how much do we, because what I don't want is like when we bring in backstory for them to have a like half a page to a page of talking back and forth of why.
No, no, yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
know, to me,
Oh,
it's not active and it's not worth it when we can spend more time. So if it's more of a subtle way or within context of, if we can layer it in a way that is quick and like, oh, like something maybe an actress can bring to the dynamic of of her lines, then yeah. But I think that's something that we can definitely include is having the grandpa being a champion. Um,
yeah, it's something where it's a moment where Cholita's saying she's wondering like why is Abuela alone? Why isn't what happened to my grandfather? My
yeah.
dad. We know that the dad basically became one of those dads that just disappeared from the spot. But what about the grandfather? And so that's
So
where
yeah, I wanna talk about that because I'm not complete. Like there are notes in here where I'm like, oh, that we can easily integrate that. That makes sense. Let's talk about the dad leaving and why you feel like that is the strongest choice.
so why you're saying why the dad was not a present dad?
Yeah, and
I
where is he?
I think I think her dad not being present. Okay, I'll tell you where the thought came from. I think the dad not being present explains why her mom fled heartbroken back to Bolivia. Either that or the dad died, like tragically in something, right? And took her when she was very young, or she gave birth to her in Bolivia because she just didn't want to be around for this man that was not even going to be in her life.
Mhm.
So without something like that, it doesn't explain why she was born in Bolivia, but has been essentially half Mexican, half Bolivian all this time. That's why the dad situation is matters so much. in that sense.
Yeah.
Dad had been a doting dad, and then she eventually went to Bolivia. Then she spent a lot of probably time with her grandmother, and the whole thing is that the grandmother has always been faithful, even though she had no one else. So I think it more plausible to me that this dad was almost like a one night stand type of guy, like somebody that was not going to be there when this beautiful baby was born. But this woman, heartbroken and everything, took her to Bolivia and gave her a great life and a great education. And so that's sort of where it came from. But go ahead, because I'm.
I don't, so for me, if the mom has more of a support system in Bolivia, why wouldn't she be there with her daughter? If the dad died. So for me, I feel like why wouldn't the dad live there also if that was where the woman, the wife, wanted to be with the support for her daughter. If he is a deadbeat dad, then for me it's like if he leaves, wouldn't she have a form of resentment towards America and the grandma?
Well, I think that's part of the tension that she has is that she doesn't know this grandmother. She doesn't know this country that is somehow related to her roots. Um, so that there's a little bit of mystique and discovering with the fresher eyes the Mexican side of her if she never really had her dad present in her life. Then if her dad was present and he died and Papa was, because I feel like she feels very comfortable being with the Cholas. There should be
Yeah,
like, no, the Cholas, she does she has to
uh,
almost reaction to Cholas as if the Cholas are alien to who she really thinks that she is until she starts to discover a few layers of how Mexican she is. This is just sort of my thought on it, but I'm open to
tell you
this is not
how like
something
when writing, yeah. So when writing, I'm thinking like tone, right? Coming down to comedy, and then her reasonings why one it would be difficult to go to LA, and two why would she end up agreeing to go. And so when writing it, I was able to integrate like a joke and then also explaining dad's dead. He's not in the picture. In a very quick and concise way. Um, and then when she and then also there's a bit of obligation. So she feels a sense of obligation towards her late father, for taking care of grandma while because grandma is alone. If dad had left and she's being called on to take care of grandma, I feel like there would be resentment and like why doesn't anyone call the dad? Why would the dad exclude the mom out of his life? Where is he?
I think
Because
and
for
I think
me,
that
if I were Yoli, I'd be like, it's dad's fault. It's dad's
no, but you know what?
responsibility.
She's not there to take care of grandma. She's grandma is saying, "Hey, I have never met you because you never were here." But she's always stayed in touch with her long distance, like a lot of grandmothers do. And she just doesn't want to lose this chance to meet her in person and to hug her and be with her. So she's not asking Yoli to come. Like her mom is not sending her to take care of grandma. Her mom is sending her to meet grandma before she too is
Yeah.
is
That
gone.
doesn't make sense to me either because then why would she start planning routes with selling fashion? Why would she stay there longer than 1 week?
I
You
know, I
know?
think that could be part of the unexpected, the unexpected things that she's going there for a time, but she's not planning to stay. She's just planning to go check out some stuff, see if there's a fashion angle, and then just get right back to Bolivia where everything is safe and where she's got all these resources. That's sort of how I thought. She was not really in LA to intentionally to plant seeds or to take care of anybody. She was there just to see grandma, be there for a little bit, and then head right back to Bolivia where she has her fashion life and studies in front of her. She's about to go into studies deeper.
Yeah, I'm not sold because why would she spend her time messing around with other people then? Like, why would she spend her time working and making fashion, or why would she spend her time making friends with Naomi and then wrestling and skating outside the house? So like the way it is now, knowing she's going to be there for a while, she's then enticed to then integrate and like get her footing in the town, explore LA and take LA, but if she's there just to visit grandma to get to know her and then bounce, I feel like she wouldn't care to do any of that stuff.
So what do you think should be her motivation for going to LA? To take care of grandma?
Well, that's how I have it written because the way it's written, it's grandma doesn't have anyone to help her during this time because the dad is dead. If the dad is alive, then he would
Oh,
be
no.
there.
It's a dad who just basically disappeared from Boyle Heights, from everybody, from grandma's life, from everybody's life. He just nobody knows what happened to him. He
But
was
it's hard to
he
explain
was
something like that in a
he
comedy
could
that's
be
so short.
no, I think it's the heaviest part of the comedy is just what happened to this guy. He was very irresponsible. He disappeared. Nobody knows. She's almost ashamed to admit that she just doesn't have any way of talking to him or doesn't even know where he's at. He's just gone. He just completely left Boyle Heights and I realize that it's more serious for a comedy, especially if it's slapstick or whatever. I mean not slapstick, but what do you call it?
Camp comedy.
Yeah, so it might be lighter. I mean it should be lighter in that sense. But I think if she's there to take care of grandma, it's gonna start creating a whole dynamic about abuela, you need this, I gotta buy you that. And she does have money. So if it's a matter of resourcing grandmother so she has stuff, she can throw some resources at that. I don't think
So
grandma
my
I don't think grandma
yeah
is calling her to say, please come help me. I'm very I'm very alone and I don't have the resources. I think it's more like, Mija, I really I don't know how much longer I have. I want to meet you. I want to meet
yeah,
you.
I think that's well in the script now that's where it is where she's getting old and she wants to see her and then um for an indefinite amount of time knowing that she's sick, right? And so for me it's not necessarily about like you're going to take care of me. It's I'm sick, you come and I want to spend time with you. That's her intention. Her
Yes,
intention,
yes.
the grandma's intention isn't to take anything from her. It's more
Right,
so to know her and for her to know. Um, she
right,
wants to know Yoli and she wants Yoli to know her so she
right,
can leave
right,
something behind.
right.
And she bonds with her in the script now through fashion. And she's like, oh, I see the lineage between me and Yoli through this. And that's what we can also bring in with the grandpa too, with the
Yeah,
wrestling, right?
right, right, right. I think what we
So
have,
that's how it is now,
and I
you
like
know?
the fact that when she gets there, she also sees that her grandmother has always been privately doting on her by having all these photographs of her, all these
Yeah,
different. It'll be like crap. This is like
yeah,
a, this is like an ornament. I mean, not an ornament, but like a sanctuary of me. Like I
yeah,
matter more than I
yeah. I
thought.
think that too. Yeah, I think that to me, it makes sense that they get pregnant and they move to Bolivia, and that he's there with her for a little bit. He dies, and then she's a full-on Bolivian, and hangs out with only Bolivian people. The only connection she has with her Mexican side or Chicana side is the dad. Um, but
She never really got to know her dad much, even though he moved to Bolivia.
yeah, he could have died when she was younger, maybe. And then I do also think it explains why she's so good at English. Um,
Well, all of these wealthy Latin Americans, they all freaking take their kids to American schools. It's like
but that's also another like layer where I do think she is very comfortable in Bolivia, but I don't imagine her to be like rich.
I think she should be well off, not super rich, but well off. Not everybody
Yeah,
can speak in Bolivia, especially. I've been getting, schooled by these people. Is like for you to speak English in Bolivia is, something that's the kids that go to American school. Now, that doesn't
yeah,
mean filthy rich. It's not like we're not talking Trump billions or, well, I don't even know if he really has that, uh, but it's not that they're multimillionaires. It's just that they're well off. They could send her to that. But in spite of doing that, her mom, and her mom and her family have a conviction to be good to people, to be good neighbors, and to make sure that Yoli is proud of her heritage. You know,
yes,
and this
yeah,
girl is like that's why she's so bonded to it.
yes, yeah. Okay. I mean, I
Yeah, we
I
can
think
put that the dad went over there. If you really feel that it's going to help you feel more comfortable about Yoli's psychographic profile and lighten the load a little bit, you can do that. I think it would make it a little bit lighter that the dad does not live in the US or did not live in the US and just like basically because I think if we can explain that the mom went back because that's where she had support, right? Once she got
yeah,
pregnant, you were conceived in the US, but you were born in Bolivia,
yeah.
you know.
'Cause I feel like some of those, yeah, some of those, like we don't need to tell the audience everything, but it's
Yeah.
like maybe mom's like, your grandparents and your cousins and your tias here, like it's time for you,
Yeah, you
like
have all your family here, but there's only one person over there, and she is
Bertha wants to know you,
Abuela.
you know,
Yeah, you owe it
yeah,
to her because she's always loved you and in a
yeah,
very special way.
yeah,
So
and that's something I can button up real quick in the where it is now, and I just wanted to like get to the same on the same page about whether the dad is dead or whether the dad left her. Because for me, that was the hardest note where I was like, I don't know how I can bring that in lightly, quickly.
I got you.
You know?
All right, we're
Yeah.
good.
Okay, cool. All right.
Hey, Humberto.
Yeah, Umberto, we can ask him. I don't mind that.
Humberto. Oh
One
my
thing,
gosh. Humbertos are boring guys, and Alvaro are the most. By the way, if we ever want to name the guy, the jerks, like the biggest jerks that I know, their names are Alvaro for some reason. I'm sorry.
I mean, I wrote Umberto as boring, and
No, no.
so that
He is good.
yeah,
That is a good boring name,
yeah,
Humberto.
I thought of it.
I
But
think
we can ask them one thing though, because there's so many characters, right? And
yeah.
I'm very good with cutting. Like I don't mind that at all. One thing that I want to, if we're going to keep the wrestling match at the end, I think it's strong to bring in Choli Yoli chanting.
Yes.
Uh,
So how
so
do we do
who?
that? Maybe
Yeah,
maybe Abuela eh, uh, becomes aware that she's really good at this and that she even has her own chant, Choli Yoli.
yeah. Well, I think that can work, and I think there's something really sweet about that because I'm sure the mom sends her videos. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes. So if that's the chant that they have for Yoli in Bolivia, then I could see where grandma would bring
It
it
could
up.
be a moment where earlier in when they're together and they're bonding on Abuelo's story, they're seeing, or they could be that they're actually that scene starts with her watching some fight scenes of her wrestling in Bolivia that her mom sent her a YouTube link or whatever, and then she goes, Yoli, uh, you have a connection to wrestling that I've never told you about, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
that
I
could
can.
be the way you
Yeah,
reveal Abuelo.
yeah, that's something I can bring in. All
Yeah,
right, Umberto's
that's
gone.
good. Very
So
good.
no love triangle, no type of love setup, no setup for season 2 love
Yeah,
triangle.
it's awkward with the
Got
guy massaging her up. Like, no, that's creepy. You know what? It reminds me of college of this girl named Sherma Lee and this other guy named Garrett and another guy named Bill. and it was a triangle that I witnessed in person in school, and it was
Yeah,
so uncomfortable to see these guys in the same room because the both guys were with this girl, and they knew
yeah,
it, and they were all perfectly fine. I'm like, no, 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 I have these creepy things about these three. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the only thing, yeah,
All
I
right,
think
let's
it's fine. I think I can bring in more tension then, and there's more room then for Mondo and Yoli. Um,
absolutely. I think at first she's really pissed when these girls made fun of her. So when she rides in that car, she is she is really upset. She can't even think straight that this guy is doing her a favor. So when he
they
does that lowrider thing that almost bumps her out of the car, she's like, F you too, whatever, that type of thinking. She's not looking at the guy as anything but like you're a freaking jerk too. You know what I mean? I know.
Does John have access to a car with hydraulics? Okay. All right. I
Not
can
if
add that.
not, I think the lowrider is such an important part of it that we will do whatever it takes to get a lowrider. I'm sure we will though.
All right. Yeah. I'm cool with that. I think axing Umberto and then adding a little more tension and
Yeah,
drama.
she's not falling for this guy that quick. Not at all.
Yeah. That.
All right. So we already said that she's not definitely sick.
Grandma is sick,
Yes, she
and
is.
then grandma will be sick, but I think it'll be revealed little by little how sick she is.
Right, right. And she should not be calling her mom saying, "Hey, I don't think she's sick." None of
Yeah,
that.
we can. Yeah, I do think there should be a phone call back home to show some homesickness, but I'll just change
Either
it.
homesickness or reflection. One of the two I was thinking. It could be either a positive reflection and a disgusted reflection, or whatever else you want. That's fine. The
Okay.
Chihuahua.
Yeah, yeah, we can
That's the
change it.
Chihuahua lover. You have a Chihuahua.
Oh, no, the Chihuahua. It's never shown. It's just a
Oh,
bark.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's just a nuisance
Okay.
noise.
Yes,
So
I know.
it's comedy. Yeah, like I want to make sure we integrate as much comedy as possible, and that's
I like it. I like it. Plus, the Chihuahua
yeah,
is part of our world.
yeah, it's
Absolutely.
boil hype. Yeah.
All right. I think she should arrive coming to America style. Let's just show that she's and I think that her skateboard actually should be. I do think her skateboard should be somehow a part of this. We got to figure it out with Johnny,
Okay.
but that should be like a really cool short skateboard,
Yeah,
Sylvia.
it's short already in there. We'll just leave it. But yeah, we can bring in more suitcases and have the skateboard already planted there. So when she sees Naomi and her skateboard, she's like, oh,
I think Naomi is the one that I feel is the most cardboardish too. I don't know what
want.
drives her to be such a great neighbor, a girl. Like, is
Yeah.
there there's no reflection on her. So if you can develop that further, that would be great. You can define that however that one you want.
Okay. Yeah.
It could be that she herself likes fashion, you know.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Things that come to mind is um, Abuela Berta being a significant figure in her life. Maybe she used to get in trouble and now she doesn't. She stays out of trouble because of her. And then maybe her wants would be um, to be seen in some way, just like what everybody wants, right? Um, I don't know if she necessarily would have the confidence. Um, yeah, I mean, she's definitely, I think that's a fair note. Like,
Think
I
about
think
it. Think about it. Yeah, just think about it.
I can develop her further, give
Think about it.
her yeah.
All right, let's talk about Jessica.
Okay.
Jessica's another gal that bothers me a little bit, only because we don't want to lift the cholitas up and somehow drop the cholas. Like the cholas are just gangster punks type of thing.
Yeah.
Now they're gangster punks. They don't have dreams, they're just bullies. So we got to see how it could probably start like that, right? They start off on the wrong foot, and Yoli will conquer them, but not necessarily conquer them like beating her up and pulling her hair. Oh, all of that stuff. At the end, there's got to be something that we redeem the cholas. Let's not leave them unredeemed. I'll
Yeah.
let you figure that out. But I'm just saying that dynamic. I gave you one option of how to do it, where somehow that the fact that she discovers that gym was mostly just guy wrestlers, and that she could put her mark there by doing that. But I'll leave that up to you. I'm just saying Jessica should be, and also she's the sister of the guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We don't want to see that this guy feels good about his sister getting vanquished, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
felt like that. I may not have been your intention, but it felt like that. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair too, for sure.
Then Mando diffuses the fire, is smitten by Mando. I think we need to create more tension, as I mentioned, as well with Mando and her. In a subsequent, when Jonas escapes, she has a little standoff. I was telling you about that subsequent day when he's basically, because Healy's very unsatisfied when she gets off his lowrider because he almost dropped her. She leaves that car very. I'm sorry. When she leaves and she's like pissed at him too. He's very unsatisfied about that because he's like, she's not only a pretty girl, but she's a nice person. He's just trying to be nice. And he feels like, hey, I don't even know her name. She doesn't even know who I am. And he's trying to get her attention while she's skating around. But when she realizes that he's like looking after her, that's when she tries that stupid headlock move. And that's when he finally gets to introduce himself eventually, sort of like what I wrote to you in that first draft that I sent you. That's what I was thinking about. So I let them have like an encounter where there's tension, even in that next encounter, until he finally says, starts trying to show that he's got layers to him. That could be when Naomi actually intervenes and says, "Hey, Yoli, you shouldn't be so tough on Mando. He's actually like," she starts to show that there's more depth to this guy than you might be aware of. You know what I mean? But she's kind
Yeah.
of judging Mando by his sister, which is fair. That's what we normally tend to do.
Hmm.
We addressed the grandfather, then Yoli's fashion sense. I love this that she finds a patron that discovers her. I think they should meet each other by accident while she's skating or something. She drops the woman's dresses or whatever that she's preparing. If we're gonna do the fashion show, like somehow it should be like an accident, so it's comical. And it could be like the girl. I don't know. It could be that something more dramatic than normal happens during that moment where I don't know. It looks like she's gonna do something bad, but then she does. She's like, "Oh, where did you get that dress?" And she's like, "I made it. Like I make everything." She's like, "Really? You made that?" That could be something comical as part of the crash that they have, if you wanted to do that.
Hmm.
Naomi's the one who elicits Yoli explanation. Yeah, I think the Yoli's um that reveal, it could be with Naomi. It could also be with the grandmother. That's up to you.
I
Whatever's
think
more natural.
I think the grandma would know, having spent time.
Uh, I don't think the grandma would understand the Cholita fashion. It's a very different look to anything
Yeah,
that's happening. So
yeah.
a discussion. So
If the mom is, I mean, if the mom is
Bolivian.
like Abuela Berta is more close to the idea of Bolivia and Bolivian people than Naomi. Naomi is more clueless, like has no like.
Right. Okay,
Are
yeah.
you?
So
Like,
Naomi.
yeah.
So with Naomi, it would be better because she starts telling her like, "This is why I roll this way. It's because I'm."
I also think Abuela Berta would be more, what do you call unconditional love?
Yeah, yeah. She could
Yeah,
dress up as a cockroach. She'd be like, "You look beautiful."
yeah, yeah.
Got you. Okay, that's a great decision. Uh, I think that they should not be passing by the cholas again like that. I mean, it could. It did happen in the Karate Kid, which is I think of the Karate Kid, the original one, where Were you thinking about that? No, you weren't.
No, I wasn't, but they're the antagonist. Jessica's the antagonist in this
But we
story.
don't discover anything new in that moment, by the way. There's nothing new discovering. It's almost like a
Yeah,
repeat of the previous one. So
it's a form of tension building, just like we need to see her and Mondo interact a couple times. We need to see Jessica and Yoli interact a couple times if Jessica is the antagonist in
but
this story.
you did have Jessica antagonizing and interacting with her earlier, almost the same exact scene
Yeah, but
before.
I don't think it can just be once.
No.
So I mean I can
So
find other
do it,
ways, but we're
so do
also
it a
limited
different
with
way. Yeah, do it in a different place. Do it in a different place where it's not like they're in the same part of the block, maybe. Make it look
well,
different.
I'm not gonna add a whole new place. So that means she's gotta be behind the warehouse, or in front of Yoli's apartment, grandma's apartment. I just don't want to add because I'm probably going to add pages to address the notes. I don't want to add also locations.
I'll leave it up to you. If you feel
Yeah, so
comfortable to
just in
do
terms of monetary reasons, but I can find a way to differentiate it from the scene prior, so it's
yes.
not redundant. Yeah,
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Make it feel like it's the same but different.
yeah, I can
Okay.
do that.
We can go to 25. We kind of addressed the fun and games earlier. Um, I think that I did like this about attending a local wrestling match because she's like looking for wrestling stuff and she discovers that it's women are not part of it. So that could be part of the motivation.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah,
I like that there. Then everyone
okay,
in Yoli's life admires Mando. I don't want people to be gushing over him. I think
okay.
he's got to work to earn their love and respect. And the conduit to that is Naomi. Naomi could even have a backstory that she explains as to why Mando is a really good guy.
Yeah, yeah,
She's
okay.
vouching for his character.
Well, yeah. Okay. So we have, okay, let's talk about the sewing machine.
Go for it.
Uh, so for me, yeah, it was my intention to make it an active script, making sure that there are things happening going within the plot. So for me, the sewing machine and the grandma, it's a way for them to bond, one, and to see that grandma and Yoli have something in common, which makes her more inclined to stay and to plant roots. And then two, it is a device right now as it stands for Yoli to come around to Mondo and really see that he is a good guy. And then three, it's also used in the script as a sense of comedy. We have like one, she almost drops it, two, she almost drops it, three, she does, right? So
Keep it.
it
Keep it. If you
it's a
want,
big part of the plot as of now. But what
if you can
concerns me,
envision, if you can envision how you're going to direct it so that you make it funny and they're carrying and they're like they're having all they keep it. That's fine. It's not. It was not a. To me, it was not a. The only thing I did want to. The only thing I did want to point out because there's this joke about that we all have. It's like a cliche. And by the way, we understand that a lot of these things that we're doing here, they're just. It's a cliche. Okay,
it's a
so
yeah,
have that understanding. We are not doing in this version. We're not right in the
not
feature.
kind of
We would definitely.
coordinating. Yeah,
By the way, Sylvia, I don't want to put this on you, but if you wanted to develop this for real, genuinely, as a potential feature scripting that you and I would work on for us, I'm open to that. I just want you to know that's a benefit I want to give you as a director. Okay,
yeah,
should
that's
you
very
choose and want to do that? Okay, and we would have
totally. Yeah,
to figure out some of the stuff that we would put there, but that's how we want to do. That's how we're rolling out Minivelas, by the way. So I don't find this to be a difficult thing to agree to. because you feel that you have a vision for it and I could see it enough in you that I trust you to say, keep it there. I need this. I want to use this as a way of showing Mando's personality. I think I can use this as a funny device for these girls walking around with this thing, etc. So that's fine.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think yeah, like before with her and Mondo scenes, all of them, maybe she's just really, they're clashing and she doesn't like him. And then this could be the turning point, right? And then he brings the sewing machine to the grandma at that, and that's where she's like, oh, he's a good guy.
but don't
But
make
yeah,
it seem that she is desperate for money because she is not desperate for money. So this is not her because of money. It's just like she wants to fix it and she knows that that particular sewing machine is the one that matters because that's abuelas,
yeah,
for a lot of women.
maybe, yeah,
It,
maybe she is going to buy it. Maybe it's not about the money, but he fixes it. Maybe he fixes the old one that
it
broke.
it's almost like a guitar, right? For a guitarist, it's not that they can't find a new guitar or buy a guitar, is that that's the guitar that they roll
Yeah,
with. So you want to build that understanding that it's that sewing machine has been with her since her mom or whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's a family heirloom that one day she'll give to her. Maybe that's the story that you put there, right? So just throwing ideas of why that sewing machine matters so much instead of just freaking buying a new singer.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Um,
Well, I mean, yeah, I just have to be careful with the cost, so I can't
well,
break.
we'll figure out the sewing machine. I'm sure, darn, I can't imagine sewing machines. I'm sure we can find a sewing machine. That's part of the list of what Johnny has. Uh, Now the gym. Let's talk about the gym.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know the answer to this one. This is a Johnny question
Mhm.
because we're using. Okay, so we can use the same gym, I think, for both, but I'm not sure. In one, it sounds like there's a lot of people in it, and in the other one, it could be like a small, dingy gym. But I don't know if through camera tricks or whatever, Sylvia, you feel you can make magic happen.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about because Johnny talked. I asked him about production stuff, and he said that he has a shabby gym, and that it would likely not work out as a warehouse gym, but that he can put some feelers out. And then, because we're going to need a behind the warehouse scene, and I feel like that's really doable here in LA. We can find that. And then just a simple studio or a large enough space to
Can,
potentially put the ring from the shabby gym. We can potentially transport that ring into the warehouse.
I
Um,
have a silly question I need to ask you. Forgive me for asking a stupid question. Do Have you been to Boyle Heights and do you know it very well?
I don't know it very well, but I've been.
You've been? Okay.
I've been around. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Why?
No, no. I'm just
I mean,
wondering. I I
parking's not that great.
I
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Boyle.
okay.
And yeah, it's 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 definitely something where we can find a place where there is a gym, and that we can have the girls skating in the back. We don't, and it doesn't need to necessarily be Boyle Heights, um, because it doesn't explicitly say in this. It's clear they're in like LA, East, South LA. You know what I mean? So I think there's room there. But yeah, so I mean, I think that isn't a concern right now. What for me, it's like, do we like the fashion show plot point, or should we axe that? One thing is, I don't think we can axe a wrestling match. She needs to fight somebody in the end, right? Because
So
that's how we open.
I'm going to talk to you about the end. I think that that's the part that we need to discuss the most. But let's talk about the
Yeah.
fashion show first.
Okay.
Rame, you've been quiet as a mouse. Anything you want to say about this?
Sorry, I'm putting together a PDF for you guys to look at the submissions. But I'm listening. I'm
The submissions for what?
the Yoli and potential mom
Okay, but
for casting.
but Rame, you did filter so that we're not looking at not good ones, right?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. No worries.
I don't want to waste
Don't
so.
send that.
Okay, so the fashion show.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
talk about that.
the fashion what I like about the fashion show is these women are building additional tension to create something of like, you know what, why don't we settle this outside of here and let these people have the fashion show or whatever, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna rip you to pieces, right? I'm gonna, just like your clothing should be ripped, I'm gonna rip you to pieces, whatever. But the only thing is, how are you gonna redeem Jessica? So I'm wondering at the end,
Oh,
because she feels like such a punk. Like I'm like, yeah, pull her freaking hair, like plaster her, right? What could be funny, I'll give you an idea of something, okay? But I still don't feel fully resolved on it. But it's did you ever see forgive me for asking, did you ever see the original Karate Kid?
yeah, of course. Yeah,
So it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
so good.
Um, so Mr. Miyagi one time fights one of the guys, and in the end, it looks like he's gonna do like a death hit, and he just does he goes the
Yeah,
nose, right?
yeah,
So I think Jessica's move, the one that we see in the beginning, which if we're gonna have her fighting at the end, I think in the beginning it should be a man. Now that I think of it, so that there's a contrast. It doesn't look like, you know what I mean? Like you can see the
okay,
beginning and say, "Oh yeah, it's the beginning." Oh, there's the end. You know what I mean? How that happens.
yeah,
So
okay,
definitely do
yeah,
that. But in the end, if she's gonna vanquish her, it should be like the fight doesn't even practically start because the girl is unskilled. She doesn't deserve to be. She should not even be in the mat, right?
yeah, yeah,
And in like one fell swoop, Jessica, like within no time, Charlie has her in the death strip or whatever, and that does the trick. And she basically has her. There used to be. I know it sounds funny, but you can Google this. I mean, you can YouTube this. There used to be something called the sleeper, and
yeah.
so
I know this.
the
Yeah,
sleeper, right? So
yeah,
she puts her in the Yoli version of the sleeper, and the fight almost doesn't even begin because she is not a fighter. This Jessica is way out of her league with somebody like Yoli. But the
yeah,
question is, if we do that, which is great because we save money and we don't get in the insurance issues or whatever, how do we redeem Jessica? Is what I'm wondering.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's
And
fair.
the cholas, and the cholas, because this girl represents the cholas that have been bullying her and picking on her, uh, a lot.
Yeah. So one thing is, I think because it is the finale, uh, there needs to be a balance. But you're absolutely right. Like Jessica doesn't know how to fight. She just knows the streets, and I feel like Yoli is kind of playing with her a little bit, right? Like a doll. And so the contrast is going to be really funny, like to watch a chola wrestle this like skilled like manipulating wrestler type of person. Maybe not a quick defeat because I think that because it is the finale, we want to make sure that there is a climax for the audience so that they can come away feeling satisfied because Jessica has been a nuisance and she needs to be taught like a little bit of a lesson, you know? And so I think there's a balance there. Maybe we get rid of the like jumping off the side move, but we can do like a one, two, three different moves and she's out, right? So a redemption, um, it's a little bit hard because the tone of it and the nature of it being a micro season is like there's often like a villain, right? Um, So
Yeah,
I
there are definitely villains in
yeah, and that
these
to me is
things.
Jessica in this story. So
Yeah.
I wonder then if we can use one of the other cholas to somehow build that bridge and redeem that group. Um, but just like in Karate Kid, I don't know if we can do that in such a short amount of time for Jessica.
I'm wondering,
Right, right.
wondering if you could consider. So we don't really understand why Jessica is such a jerk. That's
Yeah.
part of the problem that we have. We don't understand like why is she just such a dummy
Mhm.
essentially that a a bully and a dummy and just like so lame brain that she picks, and there are people like that. I get it. There are
Yeah.
people that literally hang out in the corner, and if you walk through that neighborhood, they're gonna give you a hard time. But could it be that that's why Mando might be the fix to finding how she gets redeemed by Mando either revealing something to Jessica or something that Jolie does for Mando that makes Jessica realize she's not so bad. Maybe there's
Yeah.
a external third enemy that they come up with, which
Mhm.
is another tactic. But I don't know. I don't know if we have the time or the. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I do feel like there's room there my brain is starting to turn a little bit. But yeah, no, if I were to shoot the script as it is now, the reasons and the
Notice
consequences.
how I'll tell you. Like, yes, if Jessica was a pure out villain, I would end it that way. My only concern, my biggest concern of the whole thing is that we don't lift up the cholitas and put down the cholas.
Yeah, and that's the last thing I want to. So yeah, no, I hear you. I
And
think
normally I'm not so sensitive about it because I'm like, it's okay, it's some bad people, whatever. But the thing is that the cholas, this is sort of like we're gonna try to show like a clash of the cholas and cholitas, but in a way that ends up where their Latinidad, there's something about being a
I
woman.
think I think it's fun to see that for the cholas to see Yoli do her thing and just be really like, oh shoot, that was really cool, you know? Uh,
Maybe he only beats up somebody else instead of
yeah,
like
no, I think she needs to fight Jessica. I feel like they need to fight. Like, otherwise, I'm gonna
an
write a
action
different villain.
movie. You just want an action movie.
Well, well, I mean, it's a Cholita. She's a wrestler.
I know, I know,
That was the
I
assignment.
know, I know. But I
Yeah. So
remember Johnny told me. He said before I got to meet you, so yeah, he said, yeah, there's a really nice director, but she's really worried because of the violence. And I'm like, violence is not, there's not really going to be much violence. He goes, no, but she's very worried because the violence thing is like potentially a big concern. She doesn't want to do anything violent. I'm like, okay.
no, no. I didn't want to put my actors in an unsafe environment. I don't. I would love to shoot, but like for me, if in terms of my career, to have action would be great. Um, it would be helpful to
Okay.
me. But I don't want anyone to get hurt. So I was in terms of budget, I was like, are you going to have someone safe that makes sure
I don't, you
everybody's
know what?
safe? Because there's
I think I
like,
have like 4 or 5 items to bring to Johnny's attention. I invite you to
yeah,
talk
yeah, it
one on one.
does. Yeah,
Why don't you have a production call with him
yeah,
about
yeah. No,
about
we've been talking. I'm not worried. He says he knows some coordinators. He's got a really awesome DP on the line. So I do think I'm not stressed. I know he'll find the locations. Um, but yeah, no, I think there needs to be a fight, and then I think it needs to be Jessica. Otherwise, we should just act the wrestling,
Jessica.
you
I
know?
don't know that act like
have to. She's a Cholita. That's what she does, right?
She's a Cholita
Um,
versus Chola. That's the fight. That's the
yeah,
Cholita and the Chola.
it's got to be there. So it could be one of those things where Jessica's like, in my head, season two,
Oh
or
no,
or the feature,
we gotta
or the
end.
feature.
We gotta end it. No, no. Oh yeah, yes, yes. For the features are different.
Yeah,
But there's
she,
a lot of choices
yeah,
we make different, but we got
yeah. The Cholas are impressed. Like they want to learn these things and they want to. They are bored. This is why they're acting out. They're bored. They're unsupervised. And so they're yeah. So I feel like if this would be a good outlet.
You know what? You know what? And I'll tell you this, Sylvia. Uh, Johnny could be helpful in resolving this too, since
Yeah,
he is Chicano Hollywood. I mean,
yeah.
he'll know like if he feels something could be done to. I would recommend you talk to Johnny about this one. This is the one
Yeah.
thing that I have that I'm like, I just want to be. It's not that I'm afraid of backlash or anything like that, although I would be in this one. I just want
I'm
to
the same. I don't want to paint them in a negative light.
do.
I
Yeah.
want them, yeah. So
How
we're
do we
gonna get there.
elevate those girls in a way that recognizes their humanity, you know?
We're gonna get there. I'll
Okay.
find some things in the script
Okay.
to
Okay.
round it out.
I'm
Yeah.
enjoying working with you, honestly. Hey, I gave you a lot of feedback. I was like, you must be freaking wanting to kill me.
No,
On
I think it's helpful. I think it's really nice to talk it out because, we can end up getting on the same page and making something that we're both proud of. I don't want to just, hopefully it's one of those things where we work together and we make something better because of it. So I
by
think
the
I
way,
think we're
just so you know, on the difficulty scale, the story that you and I are working on is a 10. A
mhm.
lot of the stories that we're doing, which hopefully you'll be able to do some other ones with us, the writing and the story is like it's a 6.
Yeah.
It's super easy. This is the most complex story of all, but the payoff is we can get people excited about something bigger. So
Yeah, this is a challenge. Yeah, for sure. What do you think about, because I'm trying to make things easier on us.
what did you think about
Yeah.
what?
If we make the fashion show less of a fashion show and more of like um a showcase art. I don't know. I have to figure it out.
Figure it
And,
out.
and then in the next draft, I'm going to implicate all of your ideas that we agreed on, and make sure that the next draft is stronger. I'm going to really try to keep it under 30 pages while
Hmm.
doing that. It's going to be challenging. And I'm also going to see if there's any other way to streamline it so that we're not really.
Don't worry about editing right now. Don't worry about editing for length right now. Worry about having a solid story. It's like what we used to be told when I was writing for the newspapers. Yeah,
Is
don't
there, yeah, I can do that, but is there, I also think producerially too, having produced a lot of my own stuff, is there a world where we could get more money or is that not an option?
there's a possibility that we will get more money, but I won't know that for another 2 weeks.
Okay.
So
And then the other one thing I wanted to get on the same page for is that we are focusing on horizontal YouTube format.
so that is a Johnny question because we're gonna shoot. I think we're gonna have to shoot in 4K instead of 8K. I really would love to shoot in 8K.
Oh, we don't need to shoot in 8K. I
Well,
don't think.
I'll tell you that it has been ideal for this type of format because we're going to shoot horizontally, but we're going to pull vertically. So we'll have probably some broader shots than normal for some things, but we're gonna be able to pull for the format that is vertical, we're gonna pull for vertical. So this story will be very much living in both worlds. There's a certain editing to that. By the way, there's a person that should have been in this call, now that I think about Ramit, which is Efrain, to explain that, but that's a short phone call about the shooting format. For now, let's land on the story, and then we'll shoot. We'll land on the cameras.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we can talk about that stuff later. Cool.
Okay. Well, listen, Sylvia, thank you for collaboration. I enjoyed talking to you. I had no idea what you were going to say because I talked about so many things with you, but but I
Yeah, I think we'll get there. It's gonna be tricky, but yeah, just give me some time. If I go offline a little bit, it's because I'm tinkering and
yeah, no
writing.
worries. We're in parallel right now trying to identify the actors.
Great, send them
Yeah,
over.
which if you have 2 minutes of your time, let me share this PDF with you just so
I
we could
do.
open it together. And you have an idea of the best candidates that we've received thus far. Mind you, this is only through one of the avenues that we're exploring to be able to draw in submissions from. But ideally,
Good.
option number one for Yoli and option number one for mom. If we need a mom, this is just because they fall out of the age bracket that we're looking ideally for Yoli. So I just left them as additional options there. But Yoli, number one, she is an actress. She has experience. She speaks Spanish and English. She seems the look that she has. I'm not quite sure how old she is, but at least her looks, she looks like she's fairly the age that we're looking for. And mom number one, she's super athletic. She looks young, even though she's a bit older, and she speaks Quechua. So that's just an additional benefit there that we could potentially also include.
Yeah, we didn't tell you this, Sylvia, but we made a connection with a group on Instagram. It's the Bolivian Women's Collective or something like that. Really, really cool people. And they are desperate. They want to be the ones that help us find the actors. I'm telling you. And
I hope, yeah.
the skating girls from Bolivia are nuts about this. They're like so desperate that we would say, yeah, we can do it. But I don't have a
You should ask them if they want anyone to submit anyone.
yeah,
They did. So option number three, which we have here, she is one of the members from Emilia Skate. Now, that's her biggest benefit and contribution would be that she's pretty much probably the best skater here out of all of them, or she has the ability to be able to film a couple of B-roll in Bolivia, and then she's also going to be in Washington from December 13th to late February. So she does have the ability to come to the state. She's already going to be here. It's just that then we have to get her to go to LA, but she's willing to. And for the second option, her biggest benefit is that she's already in California.
yeah.
I like the I like the look of option three. Um, I think the
She's the
next
one that
step
looks the most indigenous. So yes, I hear you, but
is super cool. Like she's
yeah.
cool. Um,
Is
and
that the one
that's I
you liked a lot, Efrain? I mean, Rami? Is it the girl that I like?
No, not the one that we received today. The one that we received today is the first option, and the only reason why I consider her to be the first option is because she's the one that probably looks the youngest and has the most acting experience and speaks both English and Spanish. So it would be the easiest for us to be able to work with.
can I ask you? Oh, these three are really great options. I think look wise, option number three. She's just she looks like she could be Yoli to me. But I think obviously acting like experience is really important. So either way, I think you're gonna want them to send a self tape with the perhaps the script that we have. Maybe I could give you guys a side or 2 pages or 1 page
Yeah,
side,
yeah.
and you're gonna wanna have them on tape before we say yes to anyone, right? And
Okay.
then also call back and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
By the way, those are these choices have been coming out of nowhere. I haven't seen these choices, Rami.
I
Yeah,
just love
well, I've been
love.
waiting on additional information. This is all I have from them right now, but
She's
Remember, we
dressed.
now that we're on the call.
gotta make her look 19-ish though. So let's
That's the thing. Option one, because she has this. She's just she looks like a model.
no, but she's got other scenes that I've seen in other stuff of hers where she
Huh.
looks totally not like a model.
Okay. Yeah, I'll dig into it.
But we'll cross that bridge. Let's get this in a better format for Sylvia Rame so she can look through these options.
And the moms too, to have them read. They all look. The two options for mom look fantastic.
Oh,
Both
yeah,
of them.
nice.
Um.
Are they in
Oh
LA?
wow.
Are they in LA, the moms?
I'm
One
waiting
of
on their location. I believe one of them might be in Washington, but I'm still pending on their current location.
Okay.
one of them speaks like 5 languages.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was like, wow, she can definitely memorize the script. Cool. All right, yeah, I'm
So,
excited. I'm
yeah.
excited. Yeah, that makes me my little creative brain go. So cool. Thank you.
Okay. Have a good evening, okay? Stay
All
safe
right,
tomorrow.
you guys. All right, bye.
Bye, guys.